Good morning, folks. Welcome to the Rangers Review Morning Briefing. It is Tuesday, the 15th of April. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined this morning by Stevie Clifford. He's made it home from Pittodrie in one piece. How's it going, Stevie?
Derek, I must be getting old, right? Because I'm knackered. I nearly slept in today. A young fellow came into the room, woke me up, and it was 9:10. So, and I forgot to set an alarm and stuff. So it was quite a close one this morning. But and this must feel how normal people who have like coffee and all that in the morning need, to get them going. I don't drink coffee, so yeah, need to wake up.
Yeah, thank you to Clifford Jr. for getting his old dad up for starting on the show this morning. So
wanted toast, otherwise we would be in trouble.
Yeah, priorities. Right. Well, before we talk all things Rangers, because there's quite a lot to talk about, we are, of course, building up to a huge game on Thursday, biggest game in years for Rangers, a good few years anyway. Go back to probably the Leipzig game, Frankfurt game as well, but this is mammoth in terms of European football. But before we get on to that and other things, a quick word for our podcast sponsors, S1 Jobs. If it's time to hand in your transfer request, head over to S1 Jobs and upload your CV today. With thousands of jobs across Glasgow, Edinburgh and the surrounding areas, you'll find the one at S1 Jobs. Right, where shall we start? Well, first of all, Stevie, how was Pittodrie? I haven't spoke to you since then. You were in the away end. It was just like you were at Parkhead. I was immensely jealous when Hadji pinged one into the top corner with effectively the last kick of the ball. How was your experience up there?
Well, we started at quite early, so it was like 7 o'clock when I went to meet Jim and Mando, and we were chauffeur driven up by Rhino Express, so it was a very nice trip. Jim doing the driving, looking after us. So yeah, it was a brilliant trip from that point of view. Luxurious. Got up there, half time you're standing going, why did I do this? Just like everybody else in that away end, you know what I mean? Why do we get up? Why do we make all this effort? And one swift flick of Yanis Hadji's left boot and it's all worth it again. So yeah, it was for us. Look, Barry Ferguson completely did the right thing for me. Completely did the right thing. Whether or not it worked or not is fine. But I didn't want anybody risked. I would have been happy to see a team of kids up there. So that's how important it was for us. It's not in the slightest bit important. They're a little team. I don't have this pretend rivalry that they try and have. Is quite amusing to me. I'm not interested in them in the slightest. So when he did equalise the way he equalised, considering 2-0 down with 10 men at half time, they really should have been dead and buried, and miles away from us. But we just kind of plugged away, got a goal at the right time, Friga man, and then there's always a chance at 2-1 you could get a set piece or something. And I thought that Big Cyril was really unlucky with his shot, and for once we got a wee bit of luck because it went straight to Jeffy, and then Hadji's run demanding the ball the way he did was exceptional. And I suppose that's the frustrating thing about Yanis Hadji, because he's capable and he doesn't do it enough, but none of them do. But it was a lovely moment and quite a joyous moment because we had been getting pelters, the away support from left and right, and it was I thoroughly enjoyed. They didn't take it well at all, Derek. There was a lot of laughter in the away end. I've
seen a few clips, Stevie.
The wee old man that came charging down the stairs, he was having an aneurysm, I think. But that cheered me up no end. But yeah, I mean, it was, look, from that point of view, it was quite funny because they build it up to be like a World Cup final. For me, it's no different than getting beat by Inverness away from home or something. It's the same stature of club, so it doesn't bother me in the slightest. And from that point of view, the equaliser was funny, but from a Rangers point of view, when you're looking at it properly, it's good to show that kind of character, good to keep, the momentum going into Thursday night as well, because you don't want to go back of a defeat when you look at it, I suppose, from that point of view. But yeah, turned out to be quite a nice wee trip. And do you know what, Derek? And this will be funny to some people. I've kind of got the bug back again for being in the event, for being in amongst the supporters. I mean, I grew up doing it, and when COVID came along, and then sitting in the gantry, your match day experience changes a lot. But I think there's that old burning part of me now that really enjoys being in amongst your own, being in amongst the away end and stuff. So, being in amongst your mates. Sarah was with me on Sunday up there. I had such a great time with Mando and that, and everybody. Like, it's just being with your own, and if you go to the away games and all, you'll know what it's like, and that kind of that kind of experience. And I was going to say camaraderie, and I didn't know if I could, but that's what it is. So looking forward to Thursday, and looking forward to that as well. So
I don't get in away ends much, but I would choose that over in the gantry every day of the week.
Well, I now would. If you'd spoken to me 6 or 7 or 8 months ago at the start of the season or whatever, I might have said no. I prefer the gantry life and all that. But I'm starting to edge towards the fact that, being in amongst your own and having my season ticket and all that, I'm starting to get that urge to go back to it. So, and it's all the same faces, Derek. It's all the same guys that go everywhere, same guys that go and watch like 18s and all that. The attitude of these guys are incredible. So, look, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm starting to get that bug again. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Can't beat it. I've been fortunate enough to be in a few away ends in Europe more than anything else this season, and hopefully Thursday is another memorable one. Let's hope there is limbs, as the kids say these days. I'm very much hoping that will be the case. Before we look at that game, Stevie, you're quite right. I get pelters at the weekend with my predicted team, as I normally do when I predict a Rangers 11. But Barry went pretty similar with the 11 that I would have gone with. But one of the players that was rested at the weekend was Nico Raskin. You've got a great piece on the website this morning. Go and check it out, folks. It's a good read as ever from Stevie. And I think we've discussed Nico on the show recently with regards to his contract situation. He's coming into the final 2 years of his deal in the summer. Rangers face a stick or twist situation, do you think, with Nico Raskin? If he's not going to sign, should they be looking to move on?
Absolutely, we should. First of all, your first option would be that you build the team around him, you get players next to him, and you offer him the best platform we can if he's prepared to renew his deal. If he's not, if he's not, then I think we sell. I think it's as blunt as that. His stock is probably his highest it's ever been with Rangers. The Belgian international, pretty much onto the scene for them, man of the match and stuff like that. They're talking about, put the whole team around him and stuff like that. Well, if that's the case, anybody that comes looking with 2 years to go, for me, is paying big money for him. The other issue is that Nico Raskin let his contract run down at, I think it was Standard, didn't he? So we don't want that happening again. And by the way, that's Nico Raskin's right. I've not got a problem with it in the slightest. That's what football is. So that's not a criticism of him. But when his value is at his absolute highest, as Jamie says, that's what I was getting at, and that's what I say in the article. We have to cash in, because it's absolutely all right saying that the takeover will bring this, that, and everything else. Rangers still have to generate their own money. They still have to, for financial reasons and all that, sell players and try and keep those levels and stuff like that. So somebody's coming in for huge money for somebody that has decided he won't renew his contract. And there's a lot of ifs and buts in this, Derek, we know, because we don't know what Nico Raskin thinks. But if Nico Raskin isn't prepared to renew his contract with 2 years left, then the summer is optimal value time, and we have to cash in on that. So, and then there's the other flip side of it. If he does want to stay, you build it around him. I think that's absolutely fair. As I said, young Belgian international, you get the proper players next to him. I don't think he's a 6. I think he's a kind of pressure type midfielder who can play next to a 6, more like an 8 perhaps. and then you need another mix in with him because he's not much of a goal threat. But it's all about getting that blend, which I don't think we have, right? I think he's very similar to Diamandi, which is why we get overrun in there quite a lot. So it needs something else. But these are the big questions for the summers, and definitely think that it's make or break time with regard to Nico, that's for sure.
Lots of comments coming in, as you can imagine. Mandy would like to keep him. Rangers need to get this sorted with Raskin and make him captain. I've seen a good few saying that Rangers should give him the armband for next season. Darren with the point says, sell Raskin and get comfortable with doing so. Isn't that what player trading is all about?
Totally right.
Yeah.
Totally right. That's it. That's what I was trying to say about cashing in at the right time is fine. But we have to still do our own thing, regardless of takeover, regardless of what might be happening. People need to realise as well, a takeover can't come in and just suddenly offer you 75 million. And they're also not going to let a 15, 20 million pound asset walk out the door for absolutely nothing. Now, I'm not saying that Nico Raskin is worth that, but the transfer valuation of a young Belgian international that's coming into the team at this age and starring and man of the match and everything else is around that sort of money. So Rangers should be saying to anybody that comes in, no, if you want Nico Raskin, then we don't even listen to your phone call until you start talking about that kind of price range. And that's just the way it is. And likewise with Scott, if you get a good offer, you sell anybody in a squad that's performing as such, then I think you do. But it's not really Raskin for me. I'm a bit like that comment there. It's kind of straightforward for me. He either renews and you keep him and you build the team around him, and even if he stays for a year, fine. But if he doesn't, then you're cashing in, and I think that's kind of brutally where I am with him.
Yep, I would like him to stay, and some of the comments suggest build a team around him. I'm a big fan of Nico Raskin, and it's great to see them that he's actually showing what he's all about now. It wasn't so long ago we were thinking, let's get shot at this guy because he was constantly injured. He was a bit part player, let's be honest, but he's changed his lifestyle a lot, and he's reaping the rewards as a result of that as well. And he's bossing it in the middle of the park. Rangers are going to need him at his best on Thursday. This is an interesting point from Jack. He says, what do you guys think is a realistic fee we should be demanding for Raskin? 20+ million, surely? Short answer, yes, Jack. Stevie?
I'm not answering the phone for anybody that's talking about less than £15 million. Yeah. And that's as a starting point. It's not a selling point. It's a starting point.
Yeah. I don't want to see Rangers lowballing players of value, and Nico Raskin is probably arguably the player that will get them more money than anyone else in that squad at this moment in time. So, if any teams want to come calling, then cough up. But I would very much like a deal to be struck. I think it was discussed as well, John Suter. He's got a year left in the summer, Stevie. He's another one where sign or sell, really.
Yeah, of course he is. It's a... I think we need to look at the whole football structure in the summer. I think that's clear. And whoever comes in, sporting director-wise and everything else, will have a bigger view on that. I think it might be as easy, genuinely with John Suter, that he actually has agreed a contract. And it's sitting there waiting to be signed, but everything's on hold at this moment in time. I'm not overly concerned about John Suter. Because I don't think he would walk away from Rangers as easily as Nico Raskin might, because Nico Raskin's offers will be bigger and better.
Yeah.
And that's not a downside to John Suter. I just don't think that there'll be bigger teams than us waiting to try and nick John Suter. I don't see John Suter leaving to go down to Championship in England or going to America or somewhere like that. I really don't. I think John Suter will want to stay here. So, whereas Nico Raskin might have the big offers from, Premiership and stuff like that, mid-level teams or whatever he wants to do. So there'll be plenty of interest in him. Suter, to me, it might genuinely be as easy as John Suter sitting with a 4-year deal. and it's all signed, it's all agreed in principle and everything else, and nothing will be done at this moment in time because the takeover's pretty much pending. So we'll find out in these coming weeks, but I'm not really worried about that situation with John Suter as much.
Yeah. Big hello to Stuart McBride. He says, good morning, all from sunny Skanderborg in Denmark. Good coverage as always. Thanks, chaps. Good to have you tuning in, Stuart. And Denmark, lovely part of the world over there. Sandy with the point, and a few others I've seen as well. Do we have a ready-made replacement for Raskin, or do we go for Miller? He's meaning Lennon Miller there. There's not anyone that sort of stands out for me that would come in and be a ready-made replacement, but Rangers will be linked with numerous players in the summer. I think at a midfielder, I would like to see someone come in. If it's a Nico Raskin replacement, fair enough. I still think they need another one in there. And we all know the other areas of the pitch that need a bit of investment and
every single one.
Yeah. And
can I just comment on that a wee bit? Say, Lennon Miller, 100%.
You take him, yeah?
100%. Oh, yeah. He's got the stature. He's got the build. He knows what the league's all about. I think we missed the boat with him. I think he'll go to Italy or something. £6-7 million, I think they'll get for Lennon Miller. Or they'll try and demand for Lennon Miller. I don't think we're able to get him. But if Nico Raskin went for upwards of 15 to 20 and you're shelling out maybe 6 for his replacement, you're going to do it. I think Lennon Miller as a 6 for Rangers is absolutely spot on. I think that if the current management team stayed, they would try and get him, whether or not somebody new coming in. But we have to be, proactive on that one, that's for sure. We should have done it last summer, but we didn't.
Yeah, I know.
But 100, I would say, Sandy's comment, 100%. I would like to see Lennon Miller go to Rangers in the summer. Whether or not, like you, I'd still like to see us bring in somebody else. I think we also need another profiler player. You do need to pick up a Lennon Miller and a 6, but you also need somebody else. You need to find a new Scott Arfield from somewhere. Somebody that's going to break the lines and make those runs into the box, which we don't have.
Could Lyle Cameron be that guy?
I see Lyle Cameron more as being a forward type player. But if you're looking for, someone in Scotland, they're very difficult to find. The closest player in Scotland that I really like is Josh Campbell for Hibs. Yeah. I've said it for a long time about him, but he's never fit. He's never fit. But I like the way he runs beyond and stuff like that. But we'll be looking for that type of player and looking to spend money on that type of player, I think, from Europe. And that's definitely one that we need to find. That's for sure. But how do you find a physically robust 8, 9, 10 type that's going to run beyond the forward line like Scotty Arfield used to do? They're so difficult to find. But that's what Rangers have to find, Derek. Because the midfield's too similar. Far too similar. There's nobody at this moment in time that will give you 7, 8 goals from midfield. Nobody. And we need to fix that.
Just when we're talking about midfield, there's no someone that's sort of going to my mind there, and I'm not saying bring him back, but someone that's doing well down south is Greg Docherty at Charlton. He's done well for himself down south, and watched him earlier on in the season when I was down at the Valley for a game. He scored a goal, and he was, he's good at that. He's got boundless energy. He never really got much of an opportunity at Rangers when Steven Gerrard came in. Wasn't really fancied and then moved on. But has done well down south. I think he's a decent little player. But, there you go. Barry tuning in. Good morning, Barry. He said the right offer for Raskin would be 20+ million. We have to cash in on that. So good luck for Thursday, Barry. I hope you can guide the team past Ernesto Valverde, which will be no mean feat, that's for sure. Just talking about, we talked about players there, Stevie, in the summertime. Ewan with an interesting point, and I've got to admit, there's no one really that is standing out to me at this point in time. He says, Derek Stevie, who would your ideal managerial appointment be? Of the names being suggested so far, Stevie, there's none that you go, wow, let's get him in. Is there?
No, there's not. Right, honest answer.
Yep.
I would absolutely dread somebody like Russell Martin. It scares the bejesus out of me that we would go back to that kind of passive possession movement thing that doesn't happen. On that list of people that's apparently favourites for it, I do not want him anywhere near. Barry Ferguson has done a really good job since he's came in, dealing with a squad that's absolutely minimal on confidence and quality, in my opinion. But we need somebody with his kind of attributes and knowledge of Scotland, and the ability to come in and properly coach and enhance people and things like that. Barry, if he was going to come in and get the job, needed to make a fundamental change to how we play, and I don't think he's managed to do that. I don't think there's been performances where that have been really, really good under Barry Ferguson. It's been the flip side where they've got results, but I'm not sure the performances have. And for people looking in at Barry, I think that might stutter him a wee bit. Now, he's still got, if he gets past Thursday night, then, his stock rises more and he'll be in with a shout.
Yeah.
If he has a strong finish and the team relax and play some decent football, then I think so. But unfortunately, with Barry's reign, it's still been, catching up in terms of performances. I don't think he's really managed to switch that around. So when it comes to it, I think that'll slightly go against Barry in the last couple of weeks, the more that has went on. On the list of people, and this will sound really bad because I think that, aside of getting a Jose Mourinho, which isn't feasible, you're looking at that list and your heart is probably going back to Steven Gerrard because you've got that familiarity thing, but there's nobody on that list, Derek. Nobody at all that excites me or I think can look.
No. I
really, really want him. We know that your old Bolton buddy Steinson, is that right?
Yeah.
So he's been at every single game. He's been at every trip. He's going to be your man that picks the key moments for Rangers. It's I seen somebody say last night that it'll be Patrick Stewart and stuff like that. Put Patrick Stewart to the side. He won't be making big decisions. When the 49ers come in, these decisions will be made by Steinson. He'll put your sporting director in there. He will put your manager in there. He will put the structure in there. And I would think that he would know or have a very good opinion of where he wants to go at this moment in time. There's no way that, say this takeover happened, right, and it happened in 3 weeks' time, which is an ideal kind of time where we want it to happen, the start of May, say.
Yeah.
That he suddenly comes in and goes, right, what are we going to do now? I need 4 weeks to look at this. There's not a chance that's happening. He comes in already with an idea or a process in place.
They'll have names in mind.
Aye, not Derek. They might even be having those conversations.
Yeah.
So there's absolutely no way that they come in a couple of weeks and this suddenly catches them by surprise. He's coming into a team in a club that he's been watching for the best part of 2-3 months, live, whether or not they were doing that when they, before all this news came out. But certainly they've been watching for a very long time and they'll know exactly what they're doing. So from my point of view, I'm slightly less concerned about what they're going to do with it. But for me, there's nobody that really sticks out. Nobody at all.
Well, there's some suggestions in the comments. Let's get through some of them. The JS56 says, if it's not Barry, let's go all out and get Jose Mourinho. That is Johnny's shout. If you watched the show over the weekend, Johnny would be
Johnny
would be getting the party people out if he was appointed manager.
Jose Mourinho, aside of Pep Guardiola, is probably the best and most well-known manager in the world. He's not leaving Fenerbahce to come to Glasgow. That's not happening. If he leaves Fenerbahce, then you would go all out. But I just don't think it's feasible. It's not fanciful at all. Not for me. If you could, you would take it just because within about 3 weeks of the league starting, he would be calling the SFA and all sorts. So you would do it for that point of view. And I would love to be in, constant press conferences with Jose, that's for sure. But I just don't think that's realistic.
Neil Motion with an interesting point. He says, what about Michael Carrick? Good progressive coach. He's doing well at Middlesbrough, of course. He seems to have something about him. Robert Binney, Frank Lampard or Gareth Southgate would be a good shout. I wouldn't have Gareth Southgate. Thanks very much, despite him. I think he did really well with England. It'll be interesting to see where he goes, incidentally, Gareth. But Frank is showing he's got a bit about him as well. He's doing well with Coventry. Whether he can get them up into the Premier League yet, who knows? Darren Nisbet would be an interesting shout. Steve Cooper, he says, been out of job since being dismissed by Leicester, which looked like a bit of a wrong move by the hierarchy there. They've been an absolute disaster under Ruud van Nistelrooy. Steve-O says Marco Rosa, free and has a good record in smaller leagues. Could be another Clement, right enough. I've seen many suggesting this. He gets sacked by Leipzig recently, Stevie. I'm not necessarily sure Marco Rosa would be a good idea to go down. Would you? I think he's a decent coach, but I think, as Steve-O says here, I'm sort of burned a little bit by the previous manager.
What I would say to Steve-O, first of all, is his profile picture is the greatest film in the world ever. The 87 original is the best film in the world, in my opinion. So for that, I'm inclined just to speak a wee bit about his comment.
Yeah, that's RoboCop for those, because I know that thousands of you listen on Spotify and just listen to the audio version. But yeah, he's got RoboCop as his avatar there.
Yeah, Paul Verhoeven RoboCop. None of these stupid remakes that they've done, or the second or the third one. The first and the original is, by my opinion, the best film in the world. Anyway, moving swiftly on. No, I do not see. Here's my biggest problem, right? And I've spoken about this before, what do Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, Michael Beale, Steven Gerrard, arguably Steven Gerrard, and Philip Clement all have in common? And you go back to Warburton, Caixinha, everybody else, blah, 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 blah. They're all supposedly very good coaches, just like Michael Carrick is a really good coach. Possession, build up, everything else, it doesn't work. Doesn't work, Derek. I do not want to see another manager rock up and Rangers set up 4-2-3-1. We're going to build from the back. It doesn't work. Rangers need to be an attacking team that are aggressive and physical, because that's how teams play against us, aggressive and physical. And you can have all the build-up you want, just doesn't work. And everybody talked about when that league season, when Gerrard did bring it home, how much we changed our style, because we were very direct and physical. And we played with, like, players actually matured during that year, and they managed to really take us where we needed to be. In the previous years, we played that style that just didn't work, and it didn't work. So I don't want to go back to a fancy foreign coach who comes in with all the bells and everyone's excited and blah, blah, blah. And then first game of the season against St Mirren, we end up 4-2-3-1 and we struggle. I just can't do it again. Rangers need to look at a different profile of manager as much as we need to look at a different profile of player, and we really do. We really do need to go and look at a different profile of player. That's 100% physicality. Everything is speed, stuff we don't have. But we equally, it's only my opinion, we equally need to go and look at a different profile of manager, because we repeating the same thing simply won't work.
That will be intriguing who the next Rangers manager will be. And as Stevie said, a big summer awaits. Other big news yesterday, you will have seen the post-split fixtures have been announced. The supercomputer shock horror has placed the final Old Firm game potentially in between Europa League semi-final for Rangers. Those fixtures in full. Saturday, April 26th, Rangers go to St Mirren. 3 o'clock kickoff for that one. Sunday, the 4th of May, Rangers play host to Celtic, 12 p.m. kickoff there. Following Sunday, Rangers at home to Aberdeen, again 12 p.m. kickoff. Then the following Wednesday, May the 14th, Rangers at home to Dundee United, 7:45 p.m. For that one, and before rounding off the campaign away to Hibs. Saturday, May the 17th, and a 12:30 p.m. kickoff for that game. So just 3 p.m. kickoff between now and the end of the season. If Rangers manage to do the miraculous on Thursday, Stevie, and with that Old Firm game, it's another Pittodrie job for me. I'd be playing B-team French players. Nobody that's featuring in that semi plays in that game for me.
I did set an alarm today, Derek, at 10 o'clock. It just went off, so that was handy. I think it's a farce. I'll be really honest with you. It's unbelievably believable from our governing bodies that a game like that would be potentially in between a European semi. If we do get through, if I was Rangers, I'd be asking them to cancel that game. I really would. And if they don't, I would be saying to the supporters, I'm sorry, guys, but on that game, we will go with a skeleton squad.
Yep.
Because it isn't important. And that's just the way it is. And we know it's an old firm, and we know that these games are, you know, the be all and end all. And I get it, 100% get it. But the truth is that if we were in the position of having to go and play Lyon home and away, because I do think they'll get past Man United, or even if it is Man United home and away, then you're not risking anybody on that Sunday morning, that's for sure. I think it's a total joke. But as I said, unbelievably believable. I would 100%, if we manage to negotiate Thursday, get on the phone to that governing body and say to them, this is your chance to help us out. We want a free week because we're in a semi-final of a European competition. You talk about wanting to help Scottish people, and I know they're starting it next season, and how amazing, Derek, that suddenly came in at this moment where certain teams are now having to get qualifiers and all that, and wow.
Yeah, back in the qualifiers when they don't necessarily need games cancelled. Then we need games cancelled when we're in the latter stages of European competition here.
Exactly. So yeah, 100%. See if we do manage to negotiate Thursday, then I'm going, full all out, and I'll be going to the press, and I'll be using everything to put pressure on our governing body and saying, we want a free weekend in between that. And if not, then yeah, as a support, we just need to accept that it'll be a team full of kids playing in that game.
Yeah.
And we accept how it goes, and it probably won't be nice. Probably will be very difficult, but the absolute point of it is that any kind of European semi-final would be way more important than a dead rubber against that lot, for sure.
Yep, I couldn't disagree with any of that. So, we'll wrap up there. Big thank you to Stevie as ever. Go and check his piece out this morning, folks. It's over on the Rangers Review website. Head over to rangersreview.co.uk to have a look. If you've not subscribed, then please sign up as well. We've got a great deal on at the moment, £1 for 6 months, which is absolutely sensational. Just a heads up, Joshua is departed today, heading out to Spain. It's press conference day tomorrow, so we'll have lots of content coming your way. He's heading to the Bilbao presser tomorrow after, I think he's on the video with me tomorrow, I think, or Johnny's on. One of them are on, and then he'll be at the San Mamés, where he'll be on with a bit of an afternoon show with Johnny, I think. So plenty of coverage to come your way. If you are heading out there today, I've seen some posting that they've the old airport pics and what have you, passport pictures heading out there, then a safe journey to you all. Hopefully it's a trip to remember, and very much looking forward to the game on Thursday. Loads to come your way in the build-up to that game, so we'll have you covered, folks. Big thanks to Stevie as ever. Thank you to you all, and we'll speak to you later on. Bye for now.